Hi, Iris J here with Madrona's Pulse Teachings, Astrology for Healing. And I am taking advantage of a beautiful evening and trying to film this Astro Chat on an upcoming transit that is important in many ways outside in the evening. And hopefully there's enough light, and hopefully cars going by, and hopefully it works. So I hope you're all doing well. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. I talk about astrology, transits, new moon, full moons, always increasing more content, astrology, especially for healing and as it relates to spirituality, a lot of earth-based spirituality. And we are talking about Pluto transiting back into Capricorn. This is a really important transit. It's happening on June 11th. It's lasting until January 2024. And transiting Pluto is deep soul energy. It is death and rebirth, literal death, metaphorical death. It is the collective soul unconscious. It is our soul's unconscious. Pluto is very deep energy. It is very powerful energy in our own lives. We all have a transit at around 40 years old, give or take. And this is Pluto square Pluto. And the thing about Pluto is that a lot of times Pluto energy is actually quite unconscious for most of our life. It's driving us. It's our soul driving us. It's why things happen and we don't always know what's happening. And then we go through this transit and the unconscious becomes a bit more conscious. And depending upon our own astro chart, if we've had other Pluto transits, of course, we can get kind of bursts of insight. But this is one of our kind of midlife transits that aligns perfectly with certain psychology theories, especially Jungian depth psychology, about when we start becoming much more conscious about why we're here. And Pluto is that journey as well. It's the journey into the unconscious. It's making the unconscious conscious. And it is deep work. It's not easy. Pluto is not easy. And it's also incredibly powerful and, in my definition of the word beauty, beautiful. But I am not a cupcake frosting beauty kind of person. Give me the whole spectrum of life type of beauty person. Though I like a good cupcake frosting, don't get me wrong. So what is this transit about? Okay, so transiting Pluto moved into Aquarius in March, okay? And so this was very significant. It's Pluto moves very slowly. And so we have from the March, we have about a year and a half into 2 years of this great transition of Pluto moving into Aquarius is about creating new forms of justice. It is about new equality. It is about higher self, higher mind. It is about alignments with higher self on individual and collective levels. It is literally a paradigm shift that we as a species deeply need. Pluto in Capricorn is leading up to that. Pluto in Capricorn is our systems. It's our collective systems. It's our social systems. It is authority. I am really working with this theme of reconstructing authority with this transit. That's coming upon us in June. And that's why it's important to kind of get this video out so that we can be thinking about these ideas in our lives. And, Capricorn is authority. Capricorn is authority because it is actually about boundaries. And so Capricorn energy is so interesting because so much of the collective and the way that the collective influences our individual lives is Capricorn shadow. It is power over, it is strength and social capital, it is capitalism as a form of power and social organization, intercepting patriarchy and colonialism. And that's not pure Capricorn energy. That is the social system that humans created and we've been working with. And it's really important as we think about these words like authority and power, because yes, they're aligned with patriarchy. And yes, traditionally and historically, that is, of course, men in power, and men still benefit from that system. And yet, we are all raised within this concept of power over, as success, as authority. And whether we are female, non-binary, men, we can all move with this idea that power and success comes from having power over others, whether that just comes from money and social status, intersex gender and race and sexuality. Everything is in the mess there, okay? It's a web. It's a very messy web. And this is part of Capricorn energy, and this is what's been breaking down, and this is what we're probably going to see breaking down a little bit more. And individually, this transit is really inviting us to take a good look at what we have been taught about authority, what we have been taught about power. Most likely, these lessons began while we were in the womb, before we were in the womb. They're part of our family's history, intergenerational history, social history, but in early childhood, of course. Those lessons about authority and power, usually centered in the family unit, they get in the psyche, they get in the body, and we have to unlearn them. And there's so many ways that we can unlearn them. And astrology is a great help for that, because it can show us some of our natural inclinations of personhood and beliefs and spirituality, and ways that those might have been silenced, in ways that we can claim them, in ways that they probably don't jive with the mainstream. And Aquarius is all about us claiming the part of ourselves that doesn't jive with the mainstream, that doesn't jive with an idea of a life that is successful simply because of power over others. And so part of this transit is going to be asking us to reflect on our own embodiments of authority, what we learned about authority, most likely from parents, teachers, mentors, people in positions of authority in our lives, and what we want to get rid of, and what we want to dream. Where do we want to claim authority in our lives? The beauty of Capricorn energy is that it's about authority, because it's about boundaries. Boundaries between myself and others, boundaries between myself and the world, boundaries between social systems. But those boundaries in the actual Capricorn archetype are literally between the known and the unknown. I love to picture the shoreline, right? We're walking on that shore and we see, like we can see a little bit of the beach beneath the water, but pretty quickly that beach dips down and it's unknown to these human eyes, to this land walking experience. And the world of the ocean, which is really when we're in Pisces, is different reality. And that tide line ebbs and flows. The tides shift and reality shifts. And we can use that embodied metaphor with this transit, this kind of 6 months of Pluto going back into Capricorn, to think about how the own tide lines of our ideas of the known and the unknown are shifting, that our boundaries are shifting. Our boundaries are shifting so that we can claim a more enlightened sense of authority, one that can help us transition well into Pluto and Aquarius and really claim the higher self that, when we all do that work, creates an incredible society. It is getting windy, and I hope it's not too windy. There's one period in this transit that I do want to mention because it is important. So this is going to be my date, July 23rd. So July 23rd, the nodes change. Our north node, who right now is in Taurus, and our south node is in Scorpio. The north node will go into Aries and the south node will go into Libra. And on July 23rd, when the nodes shift, they will be squaring Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is really significant. So the nodes are showing where we're kind of individually and collectively being asked for the period of time that they shift through them to really release karmic imprints so that we can claim fated destiny, whatever language we like, part of what our soul's path is here to claim, and the way that this is showing up in our individual chart. And so as the shift happens, as that north node is at 29 degrees of Aries, it's going to square our Pluto, who's at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And what do you know? 29 degrees of Aries is where we had a solar eclipse in April. So whatever was going on for you with that solar eclipse, which was really about claiming a sacred sense of self, that Aries self, those themes could come up. We could work with those themes. We're going to have about another month of Pluto square the nodes, and then it's finally gonna back off. But Pluto, during this whole retrograde, during this transition, it is squaring the nodes, okay? And then in July 23rd, a major shift is going to happen with the nodes. So we're going to be asked to really think about, you know, that idea of authority, letting go those ideas of power, especially that come from power over, especially how we were taught to internalize them, and just looking at it and letting it go and claiming the sense of self that doesn't have to be validated by that outdated structure, because it is not nurturing and it is not about the collective, and it is actually about keeping a very small group of people in power and allowing some people to climb their way into that. And that is not equity and justice, and it is not creating a collective that can do the amazing work that humans can do, right? And so this is always it, right? So I'm putting this video out there because when we work actively with these energies, we can shift timelines. We can claim so much joy in our life by letting some of these collective shadows go. And that's something that this transit is really offering us. So I'm going to keep it there. There's probably other things I wanted to mention, but I don't want to go on too long. I am sending out well wishes to you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.